Alright guys, we're almost done with the dashboard part of this theme, so we need to add our floating button down here to add the posts, users, and categories, and that's all going to happen through Modals. So let's first create the button. So I'm going to go right under the footer that we created in the last video, and let's say fixed action button. And we're going to give this, it's going to be a div with the class of fixed action dash btn, and then we want an a tag with the class of btn floating, which will put it down in the corner. I'm also going to give it a class of btn large, which will make it bigger, and then a class of red, which will obviously make it red. Okay, we don't need an href here. And then inside the a tag, I want the plus icon, so we're going to do i.material dash icons, and in here we're going to say add. Okay, so if we save that, you see now we have our little plus icon. It's going to stay in that position no matter what. Now, I don't want to actually push this for anything. I want to hover over it and then have the other buttons pop up above it to add a post, a user, or a category. So to do that, just like we did in the sandbox, we go right under the a tag and put a ul. Okay, and in this ul we'll have an li, and then we'll have an a tag with a class of btn dash floating. Let's also give it a class of blue. Alright, now this is actually going to trigger a modal, so I'm going to put a hash and then say post dash modal. And remember, any button or link that triggers a modal also needs a class of modal dash trigger. Okay, so that's a must. And then inside here we're just going to have another icon, so we'll say material icons, and we're going to use mode underscore edit because that gives us a pencil icon. So if we save that, and now you can see as I hover over it, we get the pencil icon. Alright, now let's create the other ones. So I'm going to copy this list item, and we're going to do two more. Okay, but the second one is going to trigger the category modal. So we're going to change this to category modal, and we're going to also change the icon from mode edit to folder. I figure folder is a good image for a category. Alright, and then this last one here is going to be, it's going to trigger the user modal, and for the icon we're going to use the strange supervisor account icon. So supervisor dash, or I'm sorry, underscore account. So if we save that, now we hover over it, now we have our three different icons, and each one will trigger the modal. Alright, so let's start off by creating the post modal. Now all the modals are going to go at the bottom. They're actually going to go under the preloader. Actually, let's do it above the preloader. So right here we'll do post modal, or it's actually the add post modal. So we're going to do a div with the ID of post modal, because that's what we pointed to. I'm also going to give it a class of modal. Alright, and in here we're going to do our modal content. Okay, so we'll have an h4, and we'll just say add post, and then we're going to have a form with no action, and inside the form we'll have our input field. Okay, so in the input field we'll have an input, and we're going to give this an ID of title. We'll say the post is going to have a title, and then a label for title, and then the text will say title. Alright, now we're also going to have a select list for categories, so this will also go into a div with the class of input field, and then in here we're going to say select. We don't need an ID and a name, so we can get rid of that. And inside here we're going to do our first option, which is going to have no value. It's going to be disabled because it's basically just like a title, and it's going to be selected, and it's just going to say select option. Okay, and then for the rest of these we'll do our options. I'm just going to do value 1 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then for the option text, we'll put the category name. It doesn't really matter. I mean, these aren't, it's not hooked up to a back end or anything. So we'll say graphic design. And let's do 3 will be, let's say, tech gadgets. And then we'll do one more, 4, and that'll be other. Okay, and then we'll have a label underneath. Oops. So label, and this will just say category. All right, and then under that div, we'll have one more input field. Yeah, input field div. And in here, we'll have a text area, which doesn't need, actually, it is going to have a name, and I'll show you why in a minute. And then the ID will be body. We don't need the calls and rows, though. Okay, so we have a text area. Now, in Materialize, your text areas need to have a class of Materialize text area in order to look good. And I think that's it. Let's go underneath and put a label. And this will be body. All right, so now what we want to do is go under the form, and we're going to have a modal footer. So it's going to be a class with modal footer. And inside here we'll have an A tag. And let's give this a class of modal-action. Also modal-close. That way it closes when the button's pressed. BTN to make it a button. And then we also want blue. And let's do white-text. And then we'll just say submit. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. So if we go and we click on the pencil icon, whoops, and it's not going to work yet because we didn't initialize the modal. So let's go down to the JavaScript here. Actually, we'll go like right here, and we'll say jQuery class modal is going to call dot modal. All right, let's see if that works. And there we go, add post. Now, we also need to initialize the select. I forgot about that. I think it's a little weird that we have to initialize it, but I guess because of the cool effect it gives. So let's say select, and then we want to do dot material underscore select. All right, so now we can have our select option. All right, now the posts, I want to use a WYSIWYG editor. We're going to use CK editor, which is very easy to implement. If we search for CK editor CDN, that way we don't even have to download the script. All we have to do is simply put this in our file. So I'm going to copy that, and we're going to put that right above the Canvas, the chart.js script. And then all we have to do is whatever the name of our text editor, I put body for ours, we have to just put this in. So I'm going to copy this line here. You can just type it if you're not on this page. And let's go down and just put this at the bottom. So we'll go under the delete here and paste that in, and then change this to body because that's what we used for the name, and save. And now hopefully if we go and we go to the post modal, there it is. Now we have this text editor. Awesome. All right, so the other modals aren't as difficult. So what I'm going to do is just copy the add post modal that we just created. So I'm going to copy that. We're going to go underneath, paste it, and this is going to be the category. Add category modal. So we're going to change this to category. And we're going to change this, and then all it's going to have is a title, so we can get rid of the select input field, the body, get rid of all that. We just need that one field. and then that should do it. So let's save. And now if we go and we click the folder icon, we get add category. Alright, so now let's do the user. So for the user, what I'm going to do is copy the category modal. Alright, and we'll paste that in. And we'll change this to user. Let's change this to user modal. We'll say add user. And then we're just going to have a few text fields. So this will be, let's say, name. So we got name. And then we'll do email, password, and confirm password. So 4 fields. So we'll change this one to email type, ID, email, the text, email, and 4. Alright, and then this stuff down here, this will be password. Password. I know this stuff is kind of tedious, but I mean, it has to be done. Alright, and then this one here is going to be type password. But the ID, I'm going to do password 2. And then for the text, let's say confirm password and change the 4 to password 2. Alright, so we'll save that and let's take a look. So if we go to the little users icon, add user, name, email, password, confirm password. Alright guys, so that's it. We are done with the dashboard, which is the most difficult part of this project. We have our little sidebar, so things are looking pretty good. We have some user interactivity here. So in the next video, we're going to start on our resource pages. We'll go ahead and create our post pages and the categories and all that stuff. All right, so I will see you in the next lecture.